How much time and energy should filmmakers pay attention to film critics' reviews?
That's a great question. I don't think I've ever been asked that question before. How much time should filmmakers and directors pay attention to the critics? As much as doesn't drive them insane. I don't know. I've seen some filmmakers who can't handle one bad review and it just rips their hair out. I've seen other filmmakers who want to read every review, good, bad, other, whatever. From my experience recently as a producer on a movie at Tribeca, seeing the reviews come in was really interesting, and I actually found it helpful, and I enjoyed it, maybe because I am a critic on some level, but also just because I thought a lot of the criticism of the film was true, and so I wasn't resentful towards the person who wrote the review, because it came from an honest place and it came from a respectful place and intelligent. A lot of the things they didn't like about our film I understood and I thought were problematic about our movie too. So I think any filmmaker who is comfortable enough in their own work and proud enough of their own work, I'm insanely proud of the movie we produced. It's called Alekesam, short documentary about Sal Masekela and his father Hugh Masekela. Sal's been a mentor and a dear friend of mine over the years. I'm proud that we were able to tell his story and premiere it at a place like Tribeca. Grew up in New York. It was an amazing experience to be there. One negative review is not going to take that away from me. So I could read the reviews on it, and I'm interested in people's feedback on the film, because like we said earlier, everyone coming up to you and being like, it was great, I loved it, doesn't really mean anything to you after a while. There's a funny part about that in the Woody Allen documentary that came out last year, where he's at a movie premiere and everyone's coming up to him and says, all of Germany loves you. And he's sitting there and he goes, really? All of Germany loves me? Well, that's funny how things have come around. But I think you have to, like a lot of the themes, a lot of the things we've been talking about today, you kind of have to know yourself and have a good understanding of how you're going to react to things. And if one negative review is going to throw you off the deep end and send you into a downward spiral of shame, then don't read reviews probably. Because what can happen then is that you lose sight of how you want to tell stories, and I think that would be a real disservice. If one person didn't like your review, your movie, and then now you were changing up your movies, the way you make movies, your style, that sucks. I mean, that happened to me when people were attacking the way I was reviewing movies and just living my life on some level. If I had really gotten caught up in all that bullshit on the internet about me, I would have gotten to a place where I couldn't do what I do. So I kind of had to understand that it was there, read it, have a laugh at it, but be confident in myself to understand that, okay, I'm going to continue on the path that I know in my heart and my gut is true. So I would say the same thing to filmmakers, that kind of have a good sense of yourself, and if the feedback negatively puts you in a weird place, then maybe you shouldn't do it. But also on the flip side, and I think what's harder to do is to get all the feedback that comes in when it's insanely positive, not let that put you up in a certain place. You know, if you make a movie that everybody's just raving about and they love and they're moved by and it gets all these awards, that could probably turn some people into a crazy person, into an asshole, into a difficult person. But if you can, I don't know, accept that, appreciate it, feel good about it, feel validated by it on some level, but then kind of move it aside and get back to work. I don't know, look at someone like Tom Hooper, you know, like Best Director, wins for the King's Speech. King's Speech gets all these awards. I bet you on his next movie, he has the same type of, not insecurity, but anxiousness and stress and fortitude that he did while making the King's Speech. I would imagine so. And he wants to challenge himself and put himself out there. And that's what makes him a great filmmaker. But if someone is going to praise you and you're just going to sit back and coast, then you shouldn't really read those reviews either, I think. So, I don't know, as an indie filmmaker, I think it is important, though, to have a relationship with the people who are watching your movies. The most successful indie filmmakers build a cult following. They build a loyal following. From Morgan Spurlock to Tyler Perry to Michael Moore to Woody Allen to Spike Lee. I mean, when you're an indie filmmaker, you need to know who your audience is and who's going to gravitate towards your movie and how to reach them. So I think it's really important, you know, to have a relationship with the critics and the journalists who are covering your movies, because they're your lifeblood. They're the ones who are getting it out there. You don't have a partnership with McDonald's to have your indie film on Coke cups, you know? You don't have your film on billboards everywhere. You need the critics, the word of mouth, good, bad, other, whatever, to get people talking about your movie. So I think it would be a real disservice if any indie filmmaker just dismissed the media and what people were saying about their movies. I think they would ultimately end up hurting their career on some level.